Hi everyone, as requested I'm gonna review a video called Exercise is Bad for You by Brett Cooper. Before we start the video, let's look at the thumbnail. On the left side you have a guy on a couch, probably eating junk food, obese, and she's implying that that's what the media is trying to say is healthy. Of course the media would never say that. And then on the right side you have a guy who goes to the gym, lifts man-made metal for no reason, and that's what the media supposedly calls dangerous. That's what she will try to argue in this video, I assume. It's as if there's only these two options: be obese and eat junk food, which doesn't even exist in nature, or go to the gym and lift man-made metal, which also doesn't exist in nature. No human being in nature exercises. You could also simply live naturally, but that she doesn't mention.
Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. A couple of weeks ago, an absolutely absurd article popped up on my Twitter feed, which is not a rare occurrence at all. That happens basically every day. But it was yet another attempt by the mainstream media to vilify what is healthy and good for us. Something that feels like it happens every single day. Alrighty, so this was the article. It was originally posted by New York Post, and their caption reads, "Exercise may not be the key to living longer. It might even be aging you faster."
Oh my god. Is she actually gonna try to argue that it's not the case? This is biology 101. Everybody who understands anything about biology, and especially biochemistry, knows that all stress ages you, any kind of stress whatsoever, and exercise is considered to be extreme stress, which is why it extremely ages you. What is she gonna say? And then she shows this clip as if the article is wrong. Oh my god, this is crazy.
All of this is truly exhausting. It's almost laughable at this point. Like, just listen to the science, guys. Cereal is healthier than eggs.
There's never been anything scientific released which shows any kind of health benefits of exercise. None whatsoever. And I've looked into this for years. Nobody has ever been able to provide anything whatsoever. For her to say that we should listen to the science is laughable.
This vaccine hasn't gone through proper trials, but it's totally safe. Hormone-disrupting chemicals won't impact women at all. Exercise will age you. Like, when can we be done with this? Moving on. Somebody comments.
The other stuff that she says is actually pretty much on point, but I don't know why she doesn't understand that exercise, which no human being naturally wants to do, is somehow bad for you. There's never been any recorded cases of humans in nature exercising in any way. It's something completely new. It really only popped up in the last few decades. Before that, almost nobody ever exercised. The Japanese, for example, still understand that exercise is bad for you. It's just the US and Europe, for the most part, who believe that exercise is somehow good for you.
And said, "I'm sorry, I didn't have enough time to read this. I was too busy exercising." Based. It's really how you should take all of this. Take it with a grain of salt. Just ignore it and move on with your life. Somebody else said, "Maybe we should go back to the food pyramid for our health. That worked out great last time." Yeah, remember our episode from last week? This is all connected. Somebody else said, "Experts say," the experts, "this is healthy." No comment. That headline was incredibly jarring, obviously, but the article itself was more of an eye roll, and this study really proved nothing. It was conducted over 45 years, and they studied an active and a sedentary group, and their big discovery was that those in the sedentary group were only 7% more likely to die compared to those in the active group, quote, with no additional benefits provided by higher levels of exercise. Now, obviously, this seems ridiculous. They didn't offer any information.
That is a study by definition, but it's not scientific. Science and studies should not be confused, because most of the studies released today are not scientific. Really, almost none of them are, especially when it comes to health.
About their diets or their lifestyles, aka other hugely important factors. Those who were the most physically active were about 1.8 years older than those who did a more modest amount of physical activity. The researchers concluded
those who were the most physically active were about 1.8 years older than those who did a more modest amount of physical activity. Do they mean that they aged quicker biologically? If that's the case, and that's of course true, I don't need a study or anything to tell me this, seeing as that's exactly what happens when your body is under stress. And again, exercise is extreme stress, so of course you will age quicker biologically.
That those who exercise may not live longer because of their workouts, but because they generally live healthier lives.
That may be the case. It doesn't really matter. All that we need to do is understand biochemistry and oxidative stress. We can right away tell that exercise ages you. There's nothing much more that you need.
Okay, no shit. And usually that healthier life includes exercising. It is one of...
No, because humans never used to exercise. There's no recorded cases of humans exercising in nature. It's just not something that humans ever used to do. Why would you now discover something that's healthy for human beings? Human beings know what is healthy for them, and that's what is natural for us. And it is not natural for us to exercise. That's why everybody who goes to the gym looks miserable. And that's because they are going against their senses. They are doing something that they hate. When people go and run, then they do something that they hate, and so on. They are going against their body's senses, against their nature. As long as you follow your nature, you will be happy, healthy, and live a long life. Such as the Japanese, especially the Okinawans. They never exercise, they eat raw meat and over 90% animal products, and they live incredibly happy and healthy lives.
The many factors. Obviously, you can't just exercise every single day and eat junk food and expect you're going to live forever. This proves nothing. There seems to be no real point to this study.
I would agree that in general this doesn't prove much because we don't know how these people really lived. Still, if you simply look into biochemistry, then you will find out that this is actually true.
They spent 45 years to determine something that we already know. For a tiny percentage of people, and maybe some extreme athletes who work out way too hard, that level of exercising can harm your health and can injure you. But for everyone else, we should be hitting the gym. We should be taking walks. We should not be listening.
Wait, hitting the gym and taking walks is not in any way comparable. Taking a walk is not even exertive to the body, which means that it's not exercise, whereas going to the gym, especially if you lift heavy weights, is extremely exerting to the body. It causes a lot of stress. How can you mention the two in one sentence? They have nothing in common.
To these ridiculous headlines. And that's really all this is. It is a fear-mongering headline, and 95% of the 2 million people who looked at this...
The mainstream media in general, 99% of the articles ever released, always tell you that exercise is good for you. It's as if she's saying that the media is now saying that exercise is bad for you. It's just one article which isn't really saying anything. It's as if she believes that she's going against the mainstream by making this video. And in reality, you go against the mainstream and you actually analyze what exercise really does to the body. The mainstream is always all about promoting what is unnatural. That's what they say is good for you. When you go against the mainstream, then you should promote what is natural for you. And exercise is as unnatural as anything can get.
This article are just going to read that and scroll and move on with their lives.
Can I go now?
Rather than realizing that this is a ridiculous and worthless study, in my opinion. Because the truth is, Americans do need exercise. Oh my God.
I'm going to link some studies in the description of this video which prove that exercise is bad for you, not some garbage epidemiology. Not that it's needed, but if you want to look at it. I will also link a meta-analysis, which is epidemiology, but I still believe that it's important to look at the graphs of the study. Don't simply read the conclusion. It also very well proves how bad it is, how it decreases your longevity.
We really need to exercise for more than one reason. Earlier this year, it was reported that depression rates in American adults reached a new high. This is from ABC News. Depression rates among U.S. adults reached new high, and the Gallup survey found that 29% of U.S. adults report being diagnosed with depression at some point during their lifetimes, an increase from 19.6% in 2015. Meanwhile, 17% of those aged 18 and older either currently have or are currently being treated for depression, up from 10% in 2015. And according to Gallup, both of these rates are the highest ever recorded by the analytics company since it began tracking depression rates. On top of all of that, we know that the mental health of Gen Z and Gen Alpha has been plummeting since the COVID-19
I don't know what point she's trying to make here. Maybe we'll see in a second, but I can tell you right away why people are depressed today. It's because of their biochemical state, which is firstly caused by the food that you eat. If you don't eat raw meat, organs especially, and blood, then you will not feel happy and healthy. You will most definitely not feel euphoric, which is how you would feel if you would eat naturally. If you eat unnatural food, if you overcook your meat, you don't get any nutrients out of it anymore. If you eat mostly plants, which is how most people eat nowadays, then you will feel very bad and most likely pretty depressed. Secondly, if you exercise, then you will feel very stressed, which will also make you depressed. Men have lower testosterone, as proven in studies, but it's not as if you even need studies to prove this. Obviously, you use up testosterone when you work out. That's why you can't perform in bed anymore. You are generally exhausted always. You're lethargic. You want to sleep all day long. You have low testosterone if you go to the gym. That's 100%. And low testosterone is linked to depression. Obviously, come on. And another example, people don't have children nowadays anymore. Children make you happy, and if you don't have children, you will feel depressed, and so on. I could go on.
Lockdowns, I mean, that is when we saw a spike in suicidal ideation, depression, anxiety, all of that. And I can't believe that the experts didn't see that coming when they pulled kids out of school, kept them away from their friends, and literally scared them from going outside. Shocker. There was an article that came out.
Yes, of course, isolation, not having any people around you is also going to make you depressed, of course, because human beings need other people around them. They need their family, and if the older generation gets imprisoned in care homes, then they will feel insanely depressed. And of course, their children will also, because they can't see their parents. Then again, these children who put their parents in care homes are the ones to blame. Come on. You need to be together with your family and take care of your father and mother, especially if they are in need for the rest of your life. Really, they kind of deserve what they got anyway.
Earlier this fall, and they were talking about those numbers with Gen Z again. And it was some, corporate media press who was going, this is so sad. I can't believe it happened. Like, these numbers came out in 2021, less than a year after it happened. We knew that this was going on. People with half a brain could tell that it was happening in the moment when you locked everybody inside. And now you're coming out 3 years later. Oh, it's so unfortunate. Like, oh my God. It is evil what they did to people. And it's also evil to try to convince people that exercise is bad for them when it could help.
How can you compare the two? It just makes no sense.
Solve this problem. Like, it is a commonly acknowledged fact that exercise and moving your body.
Oh my God. Okay, now she really crossed the line. And that's because when you call your beliefs a fact, then you are really full of yourself, because all that she's stating here are her beliefs in this video. That's all that you can share online. And when you say that something that you believe is a fact, then you're saying that you know it and it's absolute truth, which it isn't. It's just a belief, which is actually in this case wrong. So think about it. She has a belief which is completely wrong, that exercise is good for you. And because she's so convinced about this wrong belief, she actually calls it a fact, which really discredits everything that she says, because it means that she's so full of herself and believes her beliefs so strongly that she even sees them as a fact. It's really messed up, and you really can't take her seriously.
Even in low-impact ways like going on walks is incredibly powerful for your mental health. It reduces stress. It pumps up your endorphins.
Walking reduces stress. If you go out for a walk in nature, yes, and that's because walking is not stressful. And that's because humans are naturally created to walk. That's why we have legs. We are supposed to move. Movement has nothing whatsoever to do with exercise. Movement is natural and doesn't cause any exertion. It's not stressful. That's why it could even relieve stress, whereas going to the gym is insanely stressful. Your cortisol, your adrenaline goes sky high when you go to the gym. It's insane stress for the body. There's so much inflammation afterwards also.
Which boosts your mood. It helps us sleep better, which is so important for your mental and your physical health, which is why we need Buffy. And speaking of them, Buffy products are the perfect gift to give this holiday season.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
But it is obviously important for our physical health. And that is a fact. No matter how many media outlets try to...
Again, that is a fact. How is it a fact? Come on, what are you talking about? You're literally just sharing some religious beliefs. For our physical health, you can't even name anything.
Fearmonger us into staying sedentary. And I talk about this all the time. I feel like...
I don't know if she knows the definition of sedentary. I don't believe that she does. What sedentary means is that you're sedentary, so to speak, as in you don't have stress for 6 hours a day. That's it. All human beings in nature are completely sedentary by this definition. I've never seen any examples. There's no recorded cases. Not even any historic texts about humans not being sedentary in nature. They just always were. It's only modern slaves who are not sedentary anymore.
I've done so many episodes about this recently, so it doesn't even need an introduction. But the latest stats reported in 2021 say that the U.S. obesity prevalence was 41.9% in 2017 to 2022. And over the past 20 years, this has increased from 30% to 41%. And during the same time, the prevalence of severe obesity increased from 4% to 9%. Obesity-related conditions include heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, certain types of cancer.
All of which is caused by food, yeah?
These are among the leading causes of preventable premature death that are going on in the United States right now. And let's also remember that obesity was the primary comorbidity when it came to COVID-19 and why it hit so many Americans so hard. But obviously, they didn't tell us that. Had the government and the experts acknowledged this and not shut down gyms and locked people in their homes to rot in front of their TVs.
What does it have to do with gyms or exercise? There's no human being in nature who is obese. And that's because when you eat natural food, it's literally biochemically impossible for you to be obese. It can only happen with unnatural food. It's not as if you need to eat unnatural food and then exercise to lose the weight. It's not as if obesity is a deficiency in exercise, a lack of exercise. No, obesity is a problem of eating unnatural food.
Order Postmates for every meal, maybe we would have had a different outcome. Anyway, I digress.
There's a lot to see in this life. Not wasting it here.
This obesity stat is only projected to increase. I mean, look at this map predicting obesity in 2030. And this is saying that more than half of the country will be obese by then. And to be honest...
Yes, and that's because Americans eat a plant-based diet, as in 70 to 80% of the calories that Americans consume comes from plants, especially grains. Even if you look at a typical burger or any kind of junk food that they eat, it's 70 to 80% plants. It's mostly bread, the bun, which is grains. There's all kinds of additives, of course, which are addictive. It's essentially drugs. And then you have some lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, and a lean beef patty.
It is on us as individuals to fix this. Because we know that they're not going to stop running these articles saying that exercise is harmful. Activists aren't going to stop pinning exercise as fat-phobic or right-wing activity. Big food and government are not going to stop lying to us about what's in our food and how we should be eating. And the sooner you realize you cannot rely on them, the sooner you will be free and you'll be a hell of a lot happier. And you might get tired of me saying this and bringing it up, every other episode at this point.
It's really strange because it's as if she's talking against the government, saying that what the government tells us is wrong, which is true, of course. But then she doesn't mention or realize, maybe she's so delusional, that the government promotes exercise. That's what they promote in school. They make women infertile by forcing them to exercise in school. Women should never do any kind of physical activities, which are especially that stressful during puberty, especially. It's so incredibly detrimental. You will not develop and could actually lose your period. It's absolutely insane what they are doing to women nowadays. Men can handle it a lot better because we naturally actually do some kind of physical activities when needed, of course, only, which is anti-exercise, because you exercise when you don't need to. You do it for no reason, which is why I said there's never been any cases in nature of humans exercising. They never did it just like that. Oh, hey, man, you want to push yourself up against the ground? Oh, yeah, let's just do it for no reason. Let's just waste our energy, even though we may not have enough food. Let's decrease our lifespans. Let's stress ourselves for no reason. That's a slave. Only a slave would think of doing something like that. Never recorded in nature. It would just be impossible. It's strange that she's talking against the government, but at the same time promotes exercise, even though all of the mainstream media also promotes exercise. Everywhere you go, you get taught that exercise is good for you.
But I genuinely believe that this is one of the most serious epidemics that is plaguing our country right now. After I stopped dancing every night and left organized sports in high school, I was burned out. And it took me years and lots of nagging from people I love to care about exercise again. Like, I could not have cared less about it. I did not want to go to...
Yes, of course. That's literally what I was talking about. Yes, you become burned out, so to speak.
The gym. I would maybe go to a Pilates class every once in a while. I was not interested. I was fit. I ate relatively well, but I wasn't doing anything to stay that way. And my physical and mental health was definitely taking a toll. But now I have redirected. I'm so grateful and I'm so glad that I reprioritized that in my life. And hopefully my constant nagging will do the same for you.
This video was ridiculous. She talked about some kind of science which proves that exercise is good for you, which doesn't exist. And then she called her beliefs a fact multiple times, which is pretty actually mentally insane. When you actually believe that your beliefs are a fact, it really shows that you're really far gone. Overall, the problem is that she promotes exercise while simultaneously telling us that the government is trying to make us unhealthy, even though they promote exercise more than anybody else. They also subsidize gyms. It couldn't be any clearer. The government wants you to exercise as much as possible so that you become depressed and reduce your lifespan. They want you to be stressed. They want you to work all day. Then after work, they want you to work out, which is more work. They want you to be stressed constantly while eating a plant-based diet and being on medication. Come on, wake up. Thanks for watching.